This is Alex bringing you a new episode of Gravity Blues, the podcast where myself and my co-host Ron explore our Earth and space-related concerns and interests. So, myself as a Browns fan and Ron as a Crew fan, we both have the same ownership with Jimmy and Dee Haslam, and the past few days have not been going too well, for both sides of that coin with Cucho leaving, right?
Cucho left the star of the crew, and
Mm-hmm.
the very same day, although we actually sold him, so we got 16 million in return. So it's not quite the same. I mean, depending on
Okay.
what Miles gets traded for, but yeah, the same day, Miles Garrett, who is arguably the Browns' best player by
Yes. Oh yeah.
a
Most definitely.
miles, right?
Right.
He requested a trade away from the Browns, saying this franchise sucks. Let me go play for someone that can win.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't blame him one bit. It was really interesting because I think usually in these situations when a player requests a trade, um, usually the fans are kind of against the player. It's like, why are you trying to leave us? Why are you going? Like, you're supposed to stay here forever. And in this case, pretty much all the fans are on Miles Garrett's side. There was a poll that ESPN Cleveland ran, and I think it was there were 4,000 votes, and 94. The poll was, whose side are you on, or who do you blame, for the situation, Miles or the Browns? And 94% of people out of 4,000 votes said they blame the Browns, and the rest of Miles. So it was pretty clear majority of people backing Miles, and like I said, I don't blame him for wanting to leave, because the last 3 years with the Deshaun Watson trade has just been a mess. And it's crazy, how they've just wasted the primes of some of these players, like Miles, Nick Chubb, Denzel Ward, Joel Bitonio. Baker was here, and then with that trade he left, and we see how he's doing now.
Yeah,
So
he threw 40
it's
touchdowns
just
last year.
right. Yeah, he was great, and I'm happy too. He was able to get out of here and start balling, because he really needed
Well,
that for his
okay,
career.
this is the thing, right? So with Cucho, and I'm sure, and I don't see the same stuff for the same level with the Browns, but with Cucho leaving, a lot of Crew fans are going, the Haslems suck. They don't care about our team. They don't invest in the team, and and I bet that you see some of that on the Browns side too. But the fact is, they do try.
They
They
do.
just do it badly.
Yeah. Well, also, they dump. Sometimes they try too much, and I think that's where some of the
Yeah.
issues can stem from. And yeah, like with the Browns, they dump money into this team. Clearly they dumped money into Deshaun Watson, which was just
Yeah.
terrible.
Well,
And
that's my point. Is
yeah,
yeah, it was a bad choice, in every possible way, from a moral, from a football point of view, it didn't make sense. But the
no,
fact that they're going and saying, oh, we're going to spend this amount of money, this amount of capital to try and swing for the fences, I respect that.
yeah. And I guess one thing I'll have to ask you, because I'm not too familiar with the situation with Cucho, was this kind of a expected thing? Because with Miles, about a month ago, he had his own little press conference, and he pretty much he didn't say he wanted a trade, but he said that he wants to be part of a winning team. And if this team does not, offer him a plan that shows that, he's going to, sayonara. And it was just really weird with this situation, because Andrew Berry a week ago was like, oh yeah, we're not trading Miles at all. Everything's, hunky dory. And then, just yesterday on Monday, he just is like, yep, I want to leave. So I guess, yeah, with Cucho, was this kind of something similar where you saw it happening?
Well, it's kind of one of those things where is he maybe too good for the Crew at this point in his career? He's 25. He's been here for, I think, 2.5 years, right? We signed him for a club record fee for $10 million. And So like that's again, to me, I'm saying, look, the the owners are investing. Like they got this guy right. You know, they brought in Cucho, and he was excellent. Um, the thing is though, if you're the MLS and you're the Columbus Crew, like this is your superstar. You know, like
Hmm.
one of the like a top three, if not number one, best player in the league, and Messi's in the league right now, right?
Yeah.
And this guy's playing at that level. He should have been MVP last year, but Messi got it because of name value, right? But
Hmm.
it's just like, how do you let that guy go? And he's heading to
Yeah.
Spain. You know, it's like you hate to see that,
Yeah,
but
I guess that kind of, another big thing that just happened in a different sport in the NBA with Luka Doncic getting traded from the Mavericks to the Lakers. Like Luka he's also 25 and he's a top three player in the NBA.
mm,
And the Mavericks did get some like Anthony Davis and another player, so like they didn't just like sell him for nothing. But like this guy brought you to the NBA Finals last year. You guys didn't win it, but he's the best player on your team, and he has shown that he can also be on any against any team in the playoffs, can be the best player on the court at that time. And like I said, he's 25, so like I just don't understand in that case getting rid of a player like that. But like you said, that he might be, for Cucho, he might be too good for where he's at currently. So, but you said he's going to Spain,
yeah,
right?
he's heading to Spain to Real
Okay.
Betis for, like I said,
Mm.
16 mil. So yes, he won us the league, and then did won us a tournament, and then we gotta, you know, made money off of the transfers. But it's still, it's like, how do you like? I don't see our season, unlike the Europe. Europe is midway through the season, right? So this is the midway transfer window that Spain's signing him as like a reinforcement. And the MLS starts in 3 weeks. So
Mm.
this is the Crew now sold their star player, you know, guy that's way better than everybody else. This is like the basically the Crew selling their quarterback. You know, like
Yeah.
you don't sell your quarterback 3 weeks before the season starts. It just
Yeah.
does. You know, it doesn't make sense. But
Hmm.
we'll see who they bring in.
Yeah. That's an interesting dynamic with the MLS, because in most professional sports leagues, the only time you have to worry about a player leaving is like, if they get like traded or their contract's up and they go to another team in that
Yeah,
league. But with the MLS, you got to worry about them going, over to Europe or wherever too. So
yeah.
if they get that good. So yeah, that's unfortunate, Well, I'm sure it seems like the Crew over the, since, or at least the past few years, they've been consistently good. So I'm sure even with Cucho leaving, they'll still be able to compete. But
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know if they'll be able to find a player that can fill his role.
it'll be challenging for sure,
Hmm.
especially because you don't have that many star young players in the MLS. You know, like yeah, there's some star names like Lionel Messi or Olivier
Hmm.
Giroud, who's in LA, or like a few years ago there was Zlatan. But so like we have guys that come in, but usually they're like 35 plus. You know what I mean? They're like at
Right.
the end of their career. Where
In a
this guy
retirement
is
tour.
coming in, balling out as a young guy that could play for 15 years in your team. It's like that's what I dream of as a sports fan, is like the guy that's with you for years and years and years. But
Yeah.
I will say, in the sadness for both of these teams, there is one positive thing for the Browns if you are
Hmm.
excited about them having a new stadium, and that's that yesterday Governor DeWine released like his budget report or his proposal, and it did include a budget for the new Cleveland Browns stadium.
Oh
So
wow.
that would be Ohio paying for or helping pay for it, which it was like, okay, that's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
But
I know the Bengals are going to be wanting some of that soon too. Maybe next year, because they're kind of in the same boat. I think, trying to finance a new
yeah,
stadium wherever. But yeah, and I guess with the Miles situation, say he, like, I hope they do trade him, because you don't want a player to just stay there and not be happy. And, I want him to be successful and reach the goals, that he wants to. And I don't really think, at least for another few years, the Browns are in any position, to, accommodate, what he wants to do with
Yeah.
winning. And, but it makes me interested because, you say you trade him. It's like, does that change the way you go into this draft? Do you just try and get as many good players as possible, and then you're probably going to be bad again next year if your best player leaves, especially of that caliber defensively. So do you just rack up as many good players as you can and then go for a QB next year, or just kind of? I think they're going to go for a QB, if maybe the first round if they can, or one of those second or third rounders.
Wait, did you say Miles is only 25?
No, that was Miles is 29, I
Okay.
think 28. Yeah, no, I think that was Luca. I said
Oh,
was
Luca. Right, right, right.
25.
I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
wait,
yeah.
wait a second. There's no way he's that
Yeah.
young.
No, yeah. No, I think this is his eighth. He just finished his
Okay.
eighth year in the league, I think. So.
Yeah, but the guys in that spot can play for a while, right? But
Oh yeah, no, yeah, he's still dominant. Like he's in the. I don't think he's going to win it just because we only the Browns
well,
won 3 games, so I don't think you can really win Defensive Player of the Year. But he's in the
yeah.
top. He's one of the finalists, so I think he's going to be dominant for at least
It's
another
crazy
three
though
years or
because
four.
I mean, trying to play a little devil's advocate here, okay, for the Browns.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, yes, he's probably in at least the second half of his career, right? And he did have like a season-ending injury. Was that last year or 2 years ago, where he missed most of the season?
No, he got suspended the one
Okay,
year after he hit Mason Rudolph in the head with the
okay,
helmet. But well, so he didn't have a season-ending injury, but he's been battling injuries like throughout
mm,
the season for the past few years. Like last season when he won Defensive Player of the Year, the last half of the season he kind of looked like a different player, and you still was so dominant that first half. You still was able to win it, but yeah, he definitely gets beat up throughout the season. So, yeah, I wonder if that's gonna take a toll on him if one of these years. But yeah, if I'm hoping that doesn't happen, and if that doesn't happen, yeah, I think he's gonna still be at a high level for at least a few more years. He's
yeah.
just he's a beast, and if he I hope the best for him, and I know a lot of Browns fans hope the best for him if he goes somewhere else.
I
So
hope that he ends up in Tampa Bay.
oh well, see that's interesting because I don't know if a lot of people don't know this, but and maybe things have changed since both guys maturing and over time just being away from each other.
Yeah.
When Baker was in Cleveland, he did not like him at all. Like it kind of stemmed from that Mason Rudolph incident
Mm,
because at the end of that game, Baker like he was like we won that game, so like but like they were like doing a like interview with
mm,
Baker after the game, and he was like just like it's like that was unacceptable. We don't take like criticizing like Miles on
yeah.
air. And I think after that, like it was just like kind of downhill. But I'm sure like now it's a little different, like being away from each other for like I think 3 years now. So,
I just love the
but that would
idea.
be interesting.
Yeah, I love the
Yeah,
idea of him going there and then them being like, "This is revamp the Browns," and then they're really good, and it's everyone's like,
I'll tell you this: if that happens, there's going to be a lot of Tampa Bay jerseys in sightings in
"Oh
Cleveland
yeah,
because there's already a big group of Browns fans that are like still like they're called the Baker Bros. They're still and I was a little like after Baker left, I was like kind of anti-Baker, but I think that was a little bit of coping at the
well,"
time.
and it was easy when he
Um,
was in North
Right. He
Carolina,
was
and
he was not good. He was not good that next year. So I'm like, oh yeah, we made the good decision. And then yeah, that blew up in our face.
well,
So
dude. So you're saying though, how does this change, the team's plans? I think definitely. Because for me,
mhm.
if I'm the Browns, if you have Myles Garrett this next year, right? And you go, well, that was an off year. Our defense is going to be better this year. Let's go
Yeah.
get a QB that is consistent,
Yeah.
and like maybe you try to get in the sweepstakes for Darnold. Like I've told you, like I would
Yeah.
love to see him in Cleveland, but if you go get,
Hmm.
you don't do that now. There's, I mean,
No, no,
you don't play
yeah.
that game.
If unless they like somehow are able to mend things together, which I think is like a 10% chance of happening between Miles and the organization. Yeah, I think definitely don't go that route. But with Darnold, he kind of had the last game he played for the Vikings. That was not a good
Uh,
performance from him. But that helps us in
yeah,
our.
yes.
That's we don't have to give up as
Okay,
much
I yeah,
to
because
get
I
him.
don't think that's indicative of his ability. I think that,
No,
but I
no,
think yeah, maybe that makes it easier to pay him.
right.
Maybe, right?
Maybe a little less,
But
but
I
yeah, we'll see.
yeah. So well, that's a good point. So if they go do that, and maybe they go, oh, we're gonna sign Darnold, and somehow they find the money, like maybe Deshaun, they can write his contract off, and
Yeah,
they're able to pay Darnold, and they're they bring in some other guy that's like I don't know, let's say a new tight end or something.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and then is that enough? Where Miles is like, okay, maybe this team can win, or does he still go,
Right.
it's over?
Well, it's just so crazy because the season before you win 11 games and you go to the playoffs and you lose to CJ Stroud, which is just like it's very so frustrating looking back at that and not even winning one game, just that hurts. But you win 11 games. There's the season prior and then you make all these assistant coaching changes to like please like Deshaun and try to cater around him
Yeah.
the following season, and then it just blows up in your face again. It's just so frustrating. And yeah, like I don't know if they'll be able to fix things. I hope, because I'm tired of the rebuilds. The rebuilds suck. I know the Titans are kind of in a similar spot too. So
Well, our superstar player has already left, so
yeah, yeah.
But okay, so there's that. So let's say
Hmm.
he's gone. Realistic. If you guys don't draft somebody, get ready for. I could totally see A-Rod in the Cleveland, like old
Oh
man A-Rod. That
gosh.
would be brutal.
Oh, our line. He would probably get destroyed because our line would probably
Potentially
just.
a Justin Fields. That like,
I,
I mean, that
hey,
would be hype, but I'm
I
like,
wouldn't be against Justin Fields.
he would not
Let's
thrive
try
there.
something. Let's try. We
He
got to
would not
revive
be
it.
thriving.
Give me Will Howard. I want Will Howard. Come on.
Oh man.
Give me Will.
Well,
He'll
anyway,
lead us to the Super Bowl.
good luck to the Browns. We can move on from that. We can
Yeah.
talk more draft stuff as it comes, and obviously more
Yep.
football stuff. But let's real quick. Let's before we jump into Super Bowl stuff. And I sent you a little surprise that I'm gonna stick in here in a
Okay.
minute. But uh, just quick MVP.
For NFL.
Yep.
Well, after I actually was surprised, but after they did the All Pro list, I think it's going to be Lamar.
I'm not surprised by that.
Well, I guess I think that like, or at least the last half of the season, I thought the narrative was more towards Josh Allen, so that's why I thought it was kind of an interesting kind of change. But that first half of the season, yeah, I was like full Lamar. It's still this is if he wins, this would be his third MVP, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he's already has two. I don't think he has three already, but yeah, I gotta, after you see the All Pro voting, gotta give it to him. I wanted it to be Saquon. I still don't even know, even if he did, even if the Eagles let him break Eric Dickerson's record, I don't know if he would have won it anyways, which is unfortunate because we've seen in the playoffs too how
He's carried that
crazy.
team.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how impactful he is, and there's always been the stigma is like you don't need a good running back to win in this league. You just need an average running back and a good passing attack.
Yeah.
You're seeing right here he's the best offensive player on that team, and he's the reason why they've made it this far.
Yeah, and Freakonomics actually just did a really good podcast series about why doesn't the running back get paid anymore, and it's so if you like are interested, that's a really good one. But yeah, that's a really good point. I do think my opinion on they should have let him run that because it's insane to not like the fact that he's been healthy the rest of the season. Probably they're pretty safe in going. Oh, he probably would have been okay.
Yeah.
So screw the Eagles, but 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 yeah, I don't think I would have wanted for him either, just because
Yeah.
like Lamar's been so good. I know Josh Allen was good too, but you know who really is not in that conversation, but just because of his team is Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
It's like stats wise, if you're not looking
He
at
was
the rest
probably
of
the
it,
best.
like that guy was going crazy this year, you know.
Which is such that blows my mind because I was actually expecting him to have a down year with that was it a wrist injury or hand injury
Yeah,
that he had at the end of or that like took him out of the season prior, but he came back and was like he had his best season I think statistically, and they did they go over 500 or were they like 8 and 9 or something?
it was
I think they may have
close.
been 8 and 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were 8 and 9. Yeah, that's a shame, and in being in the AFC North, I was rooting for him not to do good, I guess, but it makes me even more frustrated than him doing good and his team still being terrible.
Yeah.
And
Well,
but
so obviously you need like a superstar weapon to like have those kind of numbers, but I wonder too. I mean, obviously his team let him down, but does his votes, or kind of reputation as a superstar quarterback, does it kind of take a hit from the fact that he has Jamar, that is so good next to him? Like that's why I wonder. Like, are they going? Well, he's only getting some of that because he's got the best receiver, like or that kind of conversation.
mhm. Yeah, and I guess I'm not sure where they're at contract wise because
Mm-hmm.
compared to some of the other franchises, they don't spend a ton of money, and they've got both Jamar and T Higgins trying to get contracts. So I don't think they're going to have either. Probably they're going to have Jamar, and they're not going to have T Higgins by next season or the season after that. So I think he's still going to produce, but both of those guys, Jamar's obviously better, but T. Higgins is also great too. And I'm curious to see how things will change by just even removing one of those guys
Yeah.
from the equation.
Dude, I would not be stunned if Jamar says, like, I know he has such a good relationship with Jamar, but I would not be stunned if he goes, let me leave. I want to go play for a winning team, you know?
Yeah.
And,
And that'll be interesting to see if, say Miles gets traded to a contender. There might be, those guys who are like, yeah, I've already got some of these stats. Let me go try and win a ring because
mm-hmm,
the last, the 3 seasons ago they made the AFC Championship and then lost.
mm-hmm.
But the last 2 seasons have been surprisingly bad. Like yeah, they had the injury to Joe Burrow, and I think the one thing though is just they have these terrible starts to the season. Like just awful starts, and they like try and come back, and it worked 2 of the seasons, but almost every single season they're like 1-4 or something
Well,
around
and
there. Like
it's their defense is so awful. Other than they have one guy, I think who might even at one point was leading the sack race this year.
yeah,
And
oh yeah,
yeah,
what's it, Hendrickson,
Henderson.
Hendrickson or Henderson? What? Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's
like
like
he's not
the
bad.
rest of
He's
their
good.
defense is awful, and they put up.
No,
It's like
and,
insane.
and I don't even think it's from their defensive coordinator either. I
They
think that
fired
their
him.
players are just. I know, and I don't honestly. I don't even think it's his fault. I think the players are just that bad. So it's like, as a GM, what are you doing? Like they traded away. They've traded away a few good defenders like a few years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
you see them flourishing on other teams. It's like what you need to have. Yes, it's good to have a good offense, but you need to have a good balance because you're having an amazing offensive attack, but your defense, it doesn't matter when your defense is just
Yeah.
giving up 30 points a game.
Yeah, it is insane. It's nuts. Speaking of real quick of Ohio
Hmm.
football, we talked about last week about Chip Kelly potentially going to play be an OC
Yeah.
somewhere, and he did. So now he's in
Yep.
the
Use the
Raiders,
Raiders. Yeah.
which
Yeah.
good for him. I don't think that's gonna
Yeah.
go that well. That team seems destined to die this year, but
Yep.
we'll see.
That's what happens when you win a natty. Your coordinators are gonna get those offers, and I don't blame them for going.
I don't blame him because he's only
No.
here for a year, and he came to say, "I want to be an OC," and that was the point. And they won, and now he's in the NFL, which is a step up to me. But
Right.
the DC, I don't really get that. We talked about that. It's a sidestep. I don't
Yeah.
really understand, but
Yeah.
it does
Yeah. It
make me go.
doesn't give you any gain. Yeah.
Does Ohio State suffer at all that we fact that we've lost both coordinators? Or
Yeah. Well, I'm interested. I saw something. I don't think it was like an actual report. It may have just been a rumor, but Brian Hartline, our receivers coach, and then assistant coach or assistant offensive coordinator, like he's been here the past few years, and we've had the best receiving groups, in all of college football. And yeah, I saw some rumors that he might just be promoted uh, to offensive coordinator, which I would be totally fine with. Someone that's been in the system for a while and has shown that, like that's the biggest part of our team is our offense is our wide receivers, or currently it is. So I think that'd be a smooth transition. But yeah, I'm curious what they'll do for defensive coordinator. But it's like that's the top job right now in college football. If you're a defensive coordinator, you're gonna go play for the national champions.
I mean, sure, but then why did the guy leave? To go somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
So that's
I think that was more a money. I think that was just more a money thing, and
I
I
get
guess,
it,
you want to do that,
but
but
if you're in the top job, you don't leave the top job, right? And if
yeah,
maybe you get that much more money, okay, but I don't know. It makes me really like concerned. Like maybe there's something else, but I don't want to start
yeah,
that.
yeah, no, yeah, speculating.
But
Yeah.
I'm just like, why are we losing all of our staff? I get
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
when you win, but because I think the Lions, same thing. They both their coordinators have gone now.
Right.
So
I think Nick Saban kind of, though, when he was winning all those national championships at Alabama, he had to run a coordinator almost every single year,
yeah,
following winning one. He'd win one and then they all go to like the NFL or something. So, and he showed he was able to do it. So I think, and it's been cool to see Ryan Day, you'll have fun after winning. I think he has like a pretty big weight off his shoulders. So I think,
yeah,
I don't think everything's going to be as serious anymore. He's going to want to win, but I think going into next season, they're just going to ride this high, and hopefully win two in a row. That would be
yeah.
cool.
That would be cool. Just
Hmm.
like let's talk about the Chiefs. The Chiefs did.
Yeah.
The Chiefs won two in a row, and they're potentially about to win a third. Let's do quick predictions, and then we can move off football.
I'm gonna go Eagles just because they have
Oh,
Saquon Barkley this time. Just because they have Saquon this time.
yeah, I'm going Chiefs because I mean, come on, that offense has woken up. Like Hollywood Brown is back, and he looks good.
Mm.
They like D Hop is there, and he's like the third guy. It's like
Yeah.
you can't cover all of these guys.
That was such a great pickup by them
Yeah.
during the season. And I think I even picked him up in one of my fantasy
Oh
leagues. I
yeah.
was like, oh yes, give me that. And he actually produced like pretty well. And that's just like what Patrick Mahomes needs. Just someone that can. You got Xavier Worthy, who's just
Yeah, your speed guy.
so fast. You need the speed guy. You need the guy that's going to catch anything like D Hop. Um, and then yeah, you got Pacheco still is back, right? And then
Yeah.
you got Kareem Hunt, who's actually probably their best runner right
Good.
now, just because he's so consistent. And that is one thing. If the Chiefs win, I will not be upset at all. Right now I don't really like. I want the Eagles to win, but if
Yeah.
the Chiefs win, I will be happy that Kareem gets a Super Bowl, because he's he was with the Browns for a few years, and he's just he runs so hard, and you're
Yeah.
seeing that with the Chiefs right now too.
He's also like, I know he was probably like a speedy back at one point in his career, but he's like kind of
Yeah.
sneaky fast now, where like you don't think
Oh
he's gonna be
yeah.
quick, and then he just goes by people. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, his acceleration and his elusiveness is, it's not where it used to be when he was back on the Chiefs,
Hmm.
and that kind of started dwindling down when he kind of had the same role when he was with the Browns, because you had like Nick Chubb was the early down back, and then you had Kareem Hunt, get the 3rd and 1 or whatever. But he had some crazy explosive plays when he was with us. So
Hmm.
yeah, it doesn't surprise me that he still kind of has that, left in the tank. So um, but yeah, I'm curious to see how the Chiefs are going to game plan around Saquon, because obviously other teams have tried that in the playoffs and has not been working
Hmm.
very well for them thus far. So and I don't know, Jalen Hurts he's very interesting, because he has some games where he just he looks like that perfect dual threat QB, and then there's some games I'm like, dude, what are you doing? So I
I
don't know
think
how he's gonna show out.
well, I think he's been hurt the last few weeks, and maybe he'll be ready to go for this one. But I think they hit it really well against the Commanders, and
Yeah.
obviously they didn't need him to do a bunch. But I mean, if he's out of it at all for this one, you can't like Saquon. I don't think isn't gonna be able to be the whole offense like he was because the Commanders turned the ball over 5 times. And the
Yeah.
Chiefs
Yeah.
just aren't gonna do that because they don't.
Mhm.
So.
I will say, I think regardless of who wins, I think this is going to be really, really close.
Yeah.
Like, come down to final possession. And, in the past, the Chiefs have just, that's going to be the Chiefs. They're going to win on that final possession, and, they'll be, the three-peat. But I don't know. I just think there's definitely a difference right now. I think the Eagles have been one of the most, if not the most complete team in terms of defense, and then their kind of offense attack. But I think that really relies heavily on how Jalen Hurts plays. If like you said, if he's kind of still banged up and he's not able to hit AJ Brown or Devontae Smith, then you have to rely on the running game too much. That might not work too well against the Chiefs, who have a great defense and
Yeah.
have shown, especially in the playoffs, their defense can sometimes even carry the offense at points, and is just so consistent a lot of the time. So, but like I said, I think it's going to be really close. I think it's going to be a good game, and I'm also hoping that the halftime show with
Mm.
Kendrick Lamar is also pretty good. I think it is. I'm interested to see who he brings out. I'm pretty sure he's bringing out SZA, but I don't know if he's going to bring out any other artists to help him perform.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. I don't listen a ton of him, but I
Hmm.
know obviously he's just won awards at the Grammys, so
Yeah,
obviously he's probably feeling like on the top of the world right now.
yeah. He's King Kunta right now.
Oh yeah, there you go.
But but uh, but yeah. At the Grammys, I think he won 3 or 4 Grammys. I think he won every single category he was nominated in. He won, record of the year, song of the year. I
Do you
think it was
know
two others as well.
like what the difference is between album and record of the year?
Well, so actually, record is actually, I think, the song, but
Okay.
I don't really know the difference between like what they classify as the record and the song. I'll have to look more into that, because I always just like, what is the point of having these
Yeah.
two? You
I
know,
mean, are they the same
um,
thing and we just give them to the same people every year and he has two? You know
it's
what I mean?
so no, it is different, because I think they have different nominations in there, but in this case, he just had it was all of his wins were for "Not Like Us," the Drake diss song,
Oh, it's a
and
sing. He only won for a single song.
yeah, it was only for "Not Like Us." Yep,
Okay, I
because
didn't.
his new album, I don't think was eligible for or was for any, and he probably would have won a lot more, honestly.
Yeah.
Like he probably would have won. He usually wins rap album of the year for whatever year, he puts out a new album. So he would have won for that. Maybe would have, I don't know if he would have had album of the year or not, but yeah, it was only for Not Like Us, I believe. But yeah, let me see.
Interesting.
Yeah, so he won for record of the year. Album of the year was Beyonce with her Cowboy
Right.
Carter album, which I listened to a little bit, and yeah, that was more her like take on a country
Well,
album,
so
which
I looked at the album a little bit yesterday. I haven't listened to all of it. Do you know how many songs are on that album?
it's a lot. It's like was it like almost 30 songs
Yeah,
or something?
27.
Yeah.
Three of them are covers, so they're that's cool. But they're like classic covers, like Jolene and
Mhm.
Blackbird, which I was like, okay, that's pretty cool that she's bringing like some classic songs to like a new audience probably. But good for her.
Yeah. Yeah, and like she had this it was like the last album of this kind of trilogy of albums she did. Like she did like the album prior was like kind of like a dance electronic
Mm.
album, and then I can't remember the one before that. So
I
it was
did
kind of cool to
notice
see difference
these
between
these
those.
last two. It's like her on a horse as the album cover.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, that's funny that she did two horse albums. I didn't realize that they were actually connected,
Yeah.
but
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. They're like part of the this trilogy. But I don't know. I listened to it. I didn't give it a ton of listens, so I can't really comment on how well I thought it was. But yeah, like we said, I thought it was a cool little switch up for her. Especially she's from Texas, I believe. So
okay.
I'm sure she kind of grew up with that music. So kind of a I know she did like one of the Thanksgiving halftime
Yeah,
shows
I
that was
watched
in Dallas
it was
or
Christmas, I think, right?
oh, was it? Yeah, it was one of
Yeah.
them. I remember seeing it. And honestly, her halftime show that she did for that might be longer than Kendrick's because I was like, she gets this much time for this, and it was a cool
It's
setup. But
Netflix.
yep, oh
Yeah.
yeah,
You know what though? It's and I get that music is different in different places and we can define things different ways. I just want to push back a little bit on this is her Texas country because
hmm
I like Texas country music, and to me it doesn't sound like that. It sounds more like poppy country, which I
yeah,
associate more with like the Nashville sound. So if we're really like, I don't know, it just seems like she's from Texas. That's why she did country. I'm like, well, you
mhm.
know what I mean? It doesn't really
Yeah.
sound like that to me, but
No, it doesn't.
you know,
Yeah, but I guess yeah. I think she. I don't know how many total Grammys she has. She probably has so many. I know Kendrick has 20 now. I saw. I
wow.
think it's like top three all time, which is for someone that doesn't usually
Ooh.
put out a ton of music at a time. That's pretty
Okay,
impressive.
let's do top three. Who do we got? I
Oh,
probably, if we're saying
Mike.
Kendrick is one. Okay, who
Yeah,
are you gonna say?
I would say Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, and I would say probably Taylor Swift as the makes out the third one.
I might say. I might say. Ooh,
Because I think Taylor's got
yeah.
21.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's MJ, Taylor Swift, and Kendrick. I think.
All
Let
right,
me look this
I'll do a
up.
quick Goog and see.
Top
Uh,
top three Grammys.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. I'm sure the Beatles collectively have a good amount, but they were
Oh wait, no.
only
Beyonce has 35.
wow.
Oh wait, some of these are producers, so I don't know. Like
Okay, I mean
Kendrick. Okay, okay, okay. All right, no, maybe Kendrick isn't top three, but he's in the top.
maybe
In the top, so it's Beyonce. Has 35. I'm just going to talk about the people I know.
okay.
Quincy Jones, who was the producer for Michael Jackson and a lot of 70s and 80s songs. He has 28. Oh my gosh. John Williams, 26. Okay.
Mm,
Oh, Stevie Wonder has 25. Jay-Z also has 25. Kanye has 24. He's probably not going to win another one.
yeah.
And then Kendrick has 22 with U2. U2 also has 22. So,
Okay.
but honestly, I think Kendrick might, if he keeps putting out music, he might sneak his way into kind of the
Yeah.
upper echelon of that list. So, um,
It's tough. It's tough. Like, I mean, obviously, it's interesting to hear that. You know, you talking about people of different genres winning things, especially like somebody a producer that is able to have their hands in multiple pies, which maybe that speaks to their talent, but it
Mhm.
does make things a little bit more complicated to compare like totals. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
with the Olympics. You know, it's like the swimmers will end and they're like, oh, the swimmer has 20 gold medals this year, which I'm like, okay, that's awesome, but also they did like the 50, the 60, the 70, you know what I mean? And you're like,
yeah,
every single, 10 meters is another gold medal. Like it's a little bit,
yeah. You see these like they have an award for producer of the year for a bunch of different categories, and they'll like list out like some of the people they
oh
worked with,
yeah.
and it's like, and this is just probably like the most notable ones, and it's like 20 different artists that they worked with, um, and yeah, if like Jack Antonoff, who is
Mhm.
usually the producer for like Taylor Swift, but also he did like production on the new Kendrick album, so he's kind of like all over the
Mm.
place. So recently, I've seen him win a ton, and I wouldn't be surprised, like if we check back in like 5-10 years, if he's kind of
He's on that
in
list.
that, like, yeah, if he's in the up near Quincy, or
Yeah.
or, yeah, John Williams doing his scores and stuff. So yeah, it's crazy. Like, where do you even put all these awards? Like, at some point, it's got you win some money, you just put it in like a closet somewhere. Like, do you need? I only need to have like one Grammy. Maybe
Oh,
my first Grammy hanging up.
you'd only put the first one?
Maybe just the first.
Oh
Maybe the
man.
first and the most recent. Just to
Okay.
show the range.
Well, when you have so many, you probably have a good amount of money, and you can have one each different room.
Right.
You have
Right.
one hanging up like in the living room,
Ooh.
the second living room, and one in the bathroom, like whatever one you kind of don't care about anymore.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
definitely
The one.
options. But yeah, any
Yeah.
other big controversies other than Kanye showing up and getting
No.
kicked out?
No, yeah, that was not surprised though. He's back on Twitter now, and
I
that's
saw I
been
I
interesting.
saw some tweets that he put out
Yeah,
about how
they're terrible.
we shouldn't call it Twitter anymore. He says.
I know. I'm just gonna
That's
always call it
Kanye's
that.
words.
Yeah, yeah. Well, probably don't want to listen to his some of his words,
Yeah,
but I
that's
guess technically he's not wrong there. So, one I thought was really cool was this kind of up and coming rap artist Doechii,
mhm.
and she's now she won Rap Album of the Year for her the mixtape she put out. And I listened to it and I thought it was really good, and I think she definitely has a lot of a lot of promise, and I'm excited to like see, like, because that was just more of a mixtape, so it wasn't really like like an album. Like,
Mhm.
there wasn't really like there was kind of a concept, but it wasn't like a full like laid out project. But for her to win it with a mixtape was really cool. But
Yeah.
she's I think she's only the third female artist
Okay.
to win Rap Album of the Year, so that was really, really cool to see. I think it's her, Cardi B. Don't know how Cardi B
And
won,
Missy Elliott?
and no, I think it's Lauren Hill actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if Missy Elliott has won. I don't know. I'm curious how many Grammys she has, if she has any. I'm sure she has a few
Yeah.
because she's been around for so long. She's had to win at least one for like Song of the Year or something like that.
It's so cool because like the Grammys is feels like alive kind of in the way that rap as a genre probably wasn't awarded 40 years ago or whatever, right?
No,
Or
no, yeah,
so and that just it that's so cool. I do think there's a great SNL skit with Timothy Chalamet where he's making fun of they do like a rap history thing, and
yep.
have you seen that with him and
I've not. Was that when he hosted?
he's hosted like four times now. I think he has
Oh, really?
four, so he's one away from the Five Timers Club, which is cool. But
Hmm.
yeah, he has one with Pete Davidson where they like he's like and they're like a bunch of rap icons. It's like, this is this rap icon, this is this rap icon, this rap icon, and
Hmm.
then it pans over to the new age rap guy, and it's Timothy Chalamet with like colored hair, and he's like I'm Skeet. like
He's
that kind of thing.
he's
And
little Timmy, little Timmy,
yeah, it's
Timothy.
and they're like, what did you write to your song about, brother? And he's like, well, it's really good. I recommend. And
Yeah,
there's
I'll check that out. I actually just watched the talking about Saturday Night Live. I just watched the Saturday night
oh
movie
yeah,
where they did like it was just like a whole movie about the first night they
yeah,
aired it live, and I thought that was really cool, and it was
yeah.
like kind of intense a little bit. So
Yeah, Lauren Michaels just kind of going on.
mhm.
It's a little bit of a like I was like, this is a little bit of a pat in the back movie, like going,
Yes, oh yeah,
look at what we've done, that kind of
yeah,
thing.
right.
But
But it just it is just so iconic. Even if you don't watch Saturday Night Live, you definitely
yeah,
know what it is. So I see why they made it in the. I had no clue it even existed until I watched it, and I know it came out last year, but I think I watched it like Netflix
oh
or
yeah,
something. But
yeah.
yeah, but no, yeah, I like that a lot. But yeah, I was just uh,
It's a good. I think I'd like 4 or 4.5. Like I'd liked it a lot
yeah,
too. Uh,
mhm.
Really great depiction. Like Chevy Chase is funny in that, and
Yep, yep.
what's his name?
Belushi,
John Belushi is good.
John
The guys
Belushi, yeah,
portraying them are really good, and I was like, oh, this is it feels like anything. Like as soon as you see Chevy Chase's character, he's like falling over, and John Belushi's
right.
character is like this, and it's like those are literally the characters you recognize from
That's
like
him.
Animal House and
Hmm.
Family Vacation. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's really fun.
and thrown in Willem Dafoe and
Oh yeah,
J.K. Simmons in there too. That's just just the icing on the cake. So, but no, yeah, that was good. But yeah, I don't know. There wasn't really anything with the Grammys, I guess, that like I'm like, why did this person win? Kind of thing. There's a
yeah.
few people I like saw like perform. I'm like, I've never seen you before, never heard your name. Like,
Hmm.
where did you come from? Kind of thing. Uh, but yeah, that was about it though. There wasn't anything to like that jumped out.
I'll
But
just
yeah,
say
no,
we don't got to
I
talk
think
about the
mhm,
fashion too much, but Jade
yeah,
Smith with the castle on his head,
the house,
that was sweet.
yeah, or whatever it was.
That was sweet.
How do you even come up with that? And I see like people like photoshopping different things on his head instead
Oh
of
my gosh.
a few inappropriate things. Let's say pretty funny though onto his head, but it kind of went hard. I'm not gonna lie. That was
I mean,
it was bold,
if I
but
was like a
he was kind of
celebrity
rocking it.
at his level, I would be wearing a castle on my head. That's just
Hmm.
that's how it would
Hmm.
be. Yeah.
The Nosferatu castle.
Oh, that'd
I'm
be
gonna have
sweet.
Count Orlok.
That'd be sweet. You know, uh, oh my God, there's like this movie from a long time ago. I think it's like a Snow White movie. It's like this is way back, but there's a scene in it where the evil queen, she's got her pawns dressed up as they're doing chess. You know, they
Hmm.
have like boats on their heads, and so like when one piece takes out another, they like pull the trigger and then shoots actual cannons at the other person's
Oh
boat.
my.
And I was like, that is so cool. Like that's what I want. I want a boat hat, and if we, say we have to duel, we like just turn to the side and our boats,
Mhm.
and we see what happens.
That's
That's
how we should settle disagreements
yeah.
in today's
I'm
world
putting it out
is
there. We make it red carpet ever between with us. That's what we'll have the boat hats.
we'll be there one day, and maybe it would be like one of those things where it's like anyone can VR into the red carpet, but
Mm,
we'll be there.
good idea.
Don't worry.
It's a good way to like
But
sneak in there.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
with that though, let's strap in to our New Glenn rocket and
yes,
fly out to space.
yes, to the moon. Yeah, just a quick thing today. It's just it makes me think, how lucky we are to have an atmosphere, and it kind of acts as a kind of a force field, like uh, you know, protecting us from random stuff flying in space. Unfortunately, the moon does not have that, and that's actually what is the reason why they have like two giant gorges in in its surface, which are actually deeper than the Grand Canyon,
Mm.
and they were like formed in minutes, pretty much from just like little asteroids, just slamming into it really quick. And if something like that can be formed, with that, relative ease in that amount of time, it blows my mind, and it's the reason why we're here today, and we're able to do this pod. But how lucky we are to have something that can stop that, and it's not really something we have to really worry about. And I know last pod we talked about that potential asteroid
Yeah.
hitting the Earth, but outside of that, I feel we don't really have that many scares like that when there's just so many things flying around in this in space at incredible speeds that could like
Yeah.
take out whatever in its path.
Yeah. So I saw that, speaking of stuff hitting us, getting some solar wind right now from the sun because there's like a hole in the sun's atmosphere apparently. But even that, we're shielded from the danger stuff from the atmosphere, which is cool. But yeah, that kind of interesting. It's like going to create extra like northern lights, like the aurora borealis. We'll get some more of
Ooh,
that going. It's just like that'd be cool. I don't think we'll be able to see it, in Ohio, but you never
yeah.
know. We got to see some last year, I think.
Yeah, that was so cool. Like I was just that was just something growing up. I thought, I'd have to go like Alaska or somewhere up there to see, but yeah, that was really cool. But yeah, I don't know likelihood of us seeing that again, but it's just yeah, it amazes me, how, fragile everything
Hmm.
is, I guess, and like I said, since it doesn't really affect us too much, you don't really put it into perspective. But
Yeah. Yeah, we don't think about that too much, except like when we're thinking about other planets and going to them and how like it would be hard to settle on them, right? But
yeah.
uh, I did see that apparently there's like this photo from 2021 on Mars of this like perfect square, okay? And like,
Oh
did you
yeah, I
see
was
about
seeing
this?
stuff about that.
And
Yeah.
and Elon's like, oh, this square, it represents a pyramid on Mars. We should send astronauts. And
Uh,
people are like, it's probably just the rocks.
right.
But
Yeah. Well, you'd be surprised like how I'm not necessarily saying, this is from that, but geometry exists
yeah,
in nature. You just look at, or, molecular bonds, and there's some like rocks and crystals that form in geometrical patterns. So that's not something that we have to like immediately say, oh, that's
yeah,
some other species made this and manifested this perfect square. Like that is bound to happen in some situations. But it is interesting, and the images I saw were like AI boosted, so like it
oh
made it
my
look
gosh,
more like a square
yeah. Well,
than what it
that's the
actually
thing too. In
was.
the actual like original picture, it's like from an angle, right? And then it looks like it's a square. But if anyone out there has been watching like soccer where they try to do the offside lines and they're like, here's the picture, and the field is like this, from where it's
Hmm.
like that that's not what it looks like from the
Right.
actual like head on. It's like you know what I mean? It's from an angle, so it's just it appears that way to our eyes.
Yeah.
But it could also be aliens.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then there was sign that there was or there are signs that there was water on Mars at some
Mm.
point. So it's not out of the question that there was potentially some living beings that live there, but from the rovers that we've sent there, I don't think they've seen anything like that, or at least nothing that we know of yet. But it's funny those. There's this guy up in like the Northeast Ohio area. His name is Tim Misney, and he's like one of those like lawyers. He's like his kind of catchphrase is I'll make them pay or whatever. And he's just like, just really this out there guy that, you know, you just see his like billboard everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw, I don't know why this popped up on my feed, but it was like one of the photos of from Endurance, the rover. And it was just, he put one of his billboards up there or whatever, like in Mars. He's like, go into Mars soon, you know, to whatever, 2030, something like that. I'm just like, some people should just not have technology. But, you know, I guess with Elon's vision, maybe that is, you know, bound to happen in the future. But
I mean, yeah, at this point, you know.
I don't know. I'm not too in on the Mars thing. I just like, it's cool, but doesn't really solve any problems that we have, or I don't think we're really going to be like, yeah, it can show that we can, you know, maybe terraform or do something, you know, set up a colony on another planet, but does it really benefit us like in the long run? I don't think so, you know.
Yeah, probably not. But you know,
No.
they all the billionaires want to have, you know, a trillion humans in a solar system. So
Yeah.
I like the idea of that. It sounds cool, but it's also like, you know, there's so many steps to get there, and yeah, it does seem unhelpful at this point in time.
Yeah. Well, you know, maybe if the billionaires, you know, they all go settle in on Mars, and, you know, we're just here on Earth, maybe some of our problems will get
Oh,
solved.
you know,
Yeah.
there's a King Gizzard album about that, you know,
Yes.
and it
Yes.
doesn't work out very well for the people left on Earth.
No, no. But, you know, in the ideal world, I think it would, but, you know, we're not living in that, of course, clearly. So,
No,
but a man can dream. So,
a man can dream. There you go. That's the quote to take
yeah,
away from today.
a man can dream.
I think that's where we can wrap up. That's cool with you.
Sure. Yeah, that
Quick
works.
thing I just remembered about you're talking about metal music. With the Grammys, I think Gojira won Best Metal Album, which is cool. So
So it wasn't album. It was the performance that they did
mm,
at the
okay, at the Olympics.
Olympics. Yeah, yeah. But pretty much, I don't know if they. I can't remember if that was their first Grammy or if they won other
They've been
things as
around for a
well. But
while.
yeah, oh yeah, since the like late '90s and stuff.
Yeah.
But that was the first like performance from like an Olympic performance that won a Grammy. So that was cool to see them, kind of help out with that. But yeah, it's just that is such an iconic, you know, performance, you know, in terms of, you know, the actual music being played, and then the
Hmm.
response, you know, from
Yeah.
for people that liked it and didn't like it. So, uh, but yeah, no, shout out Gojira, and yeah, that was one I was like, all right, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
I had a feeling that one was going to win, but glad it happened. So,
There we go. Leave it on a positive note. And
yep.
but
Yeah.
thanks for listening. You can find us on the YouTube and the Instagram,
Hmm.
Gravity Blues Pod and Cast, respectively. You can do a little research there, figure out which.
Yep.
Uh, keeping oh, by the way, the new update for Baldur's Gate is being stress tested right now, which means that we will
Ooh,
be able to do our co-play,
let's
our
go.
co-op. So that'll be exciting.
Even better news then.
Yeah,
Let's go.
yeah.
That's great. I've been waiting. I've been waiting for this dang game to finally, you know, because I don't want to play alone. You know, I just feel like it'd be
Mm.
so much fun to play together.
It's so I made another one of our friends like start there like last week, and
Yeah.
and obviously you have to play on the mode where if you die you have to restart. Okay, which you know
Hmm.
it's the only way you can play.
That's
If
crazy.
you make a bad decision, it's over. And
Yeah.
so we got about 15 minutes, if that, into it, and it wasn't even in a fight. Like he just went up to there's a moment where you can say, "Give the creature my soul," which he decided to click, and then he died instantly, and
Well,
the save was over. And I was like, "Why would you click that?" But but
you know, maybe he thought he was going to give it right back. He's just lending it
yeah,
for, you know,
he
for a
thought
second.
he
But
thought he was
I,
lending it.
I will keep that in mind to not, you know, give the other characters my
Yeah,
soul.
no,
That's
it's just a little
that's a good
spoiler
tip.
for 15 minutes into the game, you know.
some tips and tricks. I like
Sheesh.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, cheers, guys. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Cheers, everyone.